Welcome to our video series featuring the PFAFF Creative Icon 2 Sewing and Embroidery Machine. This video will be focusing on precise positioning. Please check out the other videos that are available, and don't forget that there are over 100 tutorials that you can access right from the screen of your PFAFF Creative Icon 2. These can all be found in the Help Center. Precise Positioning is a wonderful program on your Creative Icon 2 embroidery machine. This program allows you to place a design exactly where you want it. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, you might want to place a design, say, in a stripe, or maybe you want to place it on a yoke. Or for instance, on this jacket, we wanted the design to be between the seam lines that are already on the jacket. So I needed to make sure that it was placed perfectly in there to be equidistant from those seam lines, not cover the seam lines. Another time where you might want to use precise positioning is to connect designs, making them endless. So here you see this is actually one design, so it would just be one diamond. And we've connected it all the way down, and you can't tell where it starts and stops because we've lined it up perfectly, matching those points. And that is really the beauty of the program on your Creative Icon 2, is that you can actually match stitch point to stitch point. It's a much more robust program than most other brands have. So let's get started. To get started, we're going to want to make sure that we are in embroidery mode, that we have attached our unit and attached our 6D dynamic spring foot. And then what I'd like you to do so that you can do this exercise along with me is hoop a piece of scrap fabric in your 120 by 120 hoop. And then just draw a diagonal line. Make sure it's a straight line. Use a little ruler or side of a notepad or something to get a nice straight line in there. All right, so we are in embroidery mode. We have our embroidery unit attached and our dynamic spring foot attached. So the first thing I'd like you to do is at the bottom of your screen, go to Hoop Options, click on that, and we want to make sure we select the Creative 120 Square Hoop. And then you can just touch the Hoop Options icon again to close it. What we're going to do is program in your name. So our letters can be found in the letter A tab. And you have quite a few different fonts in here. You can scroll to see all of them. I am going to use the Pouty font size 20. You can use whichever font you want to. Just be careful of the size or your name is going to get too big to fit in your hoop. Once you select a font, your text box will come up with a QWERTY keyboard, and I am simply going to type in my name. And I can close that to get it out of the way so I can see. Once you've got your name typed in, just touch the little up arrow here, and that will close that box out. Once we've done that, we are ready to go into stitch out mode. So I'm going to touch stitch out. This is our welcome to embroidery stitch out screen. The only thing that I am going to change here is on the color options, I am going to choose one color. Whenever you program in letters, your embroidery machine sees those as each letter a different color block. I want them to stitch out all in one color without any stops, so I'm just going to choose one color. Touch OK. And at the prompt, you can attach your hoop. Once you have attached your hoop, you can touch the OK button. And we are going to go to precise positioning. And that's found at the bottom of your screen. Looks like a little flower icon with the words precise positioning under it. So when I touch that, it is going to take me into a new screen. There's 4 easy steps to precise positioning, and they run right along here. There's 4 bubbles, 1, 2, 3, 4, and those are the 4 steps that we're going to do to precisely position our name onto our line. The first step is automatically highlighted, and it tells us up here at the top of the screen, move the green cursor to the point in your design that you want to match. You'll see a little green cursor on the screen, and I want to move that so it's right at the bottom of my first letter so that I can move that to sit on the line. Now, I move the cursor to where I think it needs to be, but then I want you to look over here in these bubbles on the left-hand side. These are kind of our magnification bubbles. If you touch the last one, which is called Zoom to Cursor, it is really going to magnify in big. Now, I thought I had my green cursor positioned where I wanted. Now that I'm zoomed in so close, I see that I really didn't. And this is the beauty of the program, is that you can be that precise. What you're seeing on the screen is actually stitch points. Once I've positioned it where I need it, I do typically touch the zoom to hoop icon, which is the middle one, and that just puts everything back so I can see my whole name. All right, so that was easy. We have step 1 done. Now we're going to do step 2. Step 2 says, move the design to align the locked point with the desired position on the fabric. Check your needle on the fabric. So I'm going to move my camera a little bit here so that you can see my fabric. So we can see our line in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my design on the screen. So I'm just dragging my name with my finger on my screen. And as I do that, you see how my hoop is moving. So I am just dragging this until it looks like my needle is pretty close to that line. Okay, I'm a little bit off. So now I can use the arrows on the wheel on my screen and fine tune that. So I'm just going to use these arrows. They move in very tiny increments. So you want to get your design pretty close before you start using the arrows. And I am just about there. All right. So once you've done that, we are done with step 2, and we're going to go to step 3. So when I touch step 3, our little pop-up tells us to move the green cursor to another part of the design that you want to match. I'm going to close this little window just so that I can see better. And I'm going to take my green cursor and I'm going to move it over here at the bottom of my last letter. I've got it pretty much where I think it needs to be. I'm going to open my window back up, and again I'm going to touch that zoom to cursor so that I can see it really close and make any adjustment that I need to make sure that I am on the bottom of my letter. I'm going to go back to zoom to hoop so I can see everything, and then I'm going to go to step number 4. So I'm simply going to touch in the last bubble, and this one says verify the design is positioned as desired, rotate as needed, check needle on fabric. So I'm going to leave this focused on the screen for a minute, because all I'm going to do is drag my name. See how I'm just dragging it on the screen? This point is locked. That was the first point we set, so that point is not going to move. I'm just going to drag this until again it looks like on my fabric that I'm where I need to be. So I can use my arrows as needed. If I lower my needle, I am almost on that line. I'm not very far off. So I'll use my arrows to fine tune that. My needle is right in my line now. So I am simply going to touch the check mark at the bottom of the screen. And we are ready to stitch. Go ahead and stitch your name out and let's see how you did. Well, how did you do? Mine came out great. Hopefully yours did as well.